Hey there guys. So today I wanted to try to do the video about the goals that I have for my channel. Um so yeah, basically I think the main thing I want to use my YouTube channel for is to try to get myself a boyfriend. Totally kidding, sort of. Um Yeah, no, I just thought that would be a fun little kind of sort of joke to make because my younger brother is coming to visit today with his new girlfriend, and I've been single for a very long time, a single stripper. And yeah, it kind of sucks. I've said before, I at this point I pretty much am just trying to accept and come to terms with how I just don't feel like I'm built for relationships. But I think a lot of that is just how most relationships, the way they've been depicted to me in the media and in my real life that I've seen from other people, and that I've experienced myself, in the way past, just I don't know, weren't really quite to how, I don't know, like my liking, or I think I'm more of a new age, modern day kind of thinker when it comes to stuff like that. But I've been doing everything by myself for a long time, and anybody else that's ever had that kind of lifestyle, I mean, it doesn't really feel like a life to me, honestly. But like anyone that's ever experienced what that's like knows how difficult that is, I'm sure. I don't personally know a whole lot of people that have been on their own like that for a while, but I want to think they must be out there. Actually, pretty much one of my favorite people in the world basically is another dancer that is also currently single. She hasn't been single for nearly as long as I have, but she's one person I can think of. I mean, she's actually someone that I've thought about maybe having on my channel here in the future. She has the kind of personality that I think people would really be able to enjoy. She's just a great spirit. She's a lot of fun. But anyways, for this channel, like I said, I've been doing everything on my own for a while, and it's just incredibly difficult. I mean, like even with trying to get this channel started, it's like there's so many things I don't know how to do, and yeah, it would be nice to have, I don't know if life partner is the term, maybe like a manager. I feel like usually when people have managers, it's like celebrities or people that really actually have like big serious careers, like not, I don't know, but I've seen some people on YouTube that have like, people that help out with stuff like filming and technical things. And yeah, I mean, they're usually people with bigger channels like that once they really get going. So, obviously I can't really tell at this point if there's ever a chance of me being able to get to that kind of stage with my channel. It would be great if it could be a possibility. But just in life, I mean, yeah, I don't know if like maybe a manager, a life partner, possibly a husband at some point. I've never been married. I've never had kids. It's kind of silly. Like I was kind of wondering to myself lately, like, has anybody ever tried to use YouTube as like a dating site? Like, is that allowed? I'm sure it's not like but or maybe like to any extent, like I don't know, but yeah, if I were to ever have a relationship again in the future or try to, it would probably have to be like a more non-traditional type of thing. Whether, yeah, they could even just be like more of a manager probably. Um I kind of think a lot to myself, like I don't necessarily know if I would ever I actually think I might be asexual at this point. I've heard that term, I've come across that term on the internet recently and kind of wondered to myself, maybe, or like aromantic. Like for me to be in a relationship, I would never want to have to go out and like have weird dates where we try to be romantic or try to be like, you know, I'm the kind of person where I think, okay, so I saw on YouTube recently with the movies they have sometimes that you can watch for free, like different ones at different times. And there was one that I came across. I thought it was really good timing because it was called someone, oh gosh, what was it called? Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, I think. Something along those lines. And that's, I don't know if that was the exact title, but whatever the title was, I was like, wow, that's pretty much like what I would want. Just like somebody to, everything's just so expensive these days. And it's like, yeah, just somebody to take on the world with and not have to do everything by myself so much anymore, you know, because I mean, I do have a savings. It's nothing like crazy, but it just worries me because I know, like, looking back, like, especially before the pandemic and before stuff really got crazy, it's like, I feel like I've just, not so much anymore because I try to be a lot more careful these days, but again, before things really, really got crazy, it was like, I just think back to how many things I've wasted money on before. And like, yeah, now these days, it's like, every penny I can save, I try so hard to, because I just have that mentality of like, oh, it can go so fast, you know? So, and I just know, like, I'm not the smartest person. And if I'm not careful with what little savings I have now, you know, that can just go so fast. And yeah, I was never really taught how to buy a house, how to manage finances very well, how to really do anything, honestly. My parents just they didn't teach me any of that. But you know, I certainly would like to try to avoid being homeless in the future if I can help it. That's so like weird and scary to say out loud. I'm in the driveway to my apartment right now. Oh gosh, it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to think about it because it's so scary, but you know that if you don't think about it at all, like what's going to happen in the future, you know what I mean? Like my landlord is in his 80s or 90s. He's very old. He's been very rude to me in the past. I don't seem to be his favorite person. So I can't really seem to come up with a casual like way of asking him what's going to happen when he eventually dies someday. I know he has a grandson because I've seen his grandson like doing yard work from time to time. I think is, but anyways, yeah, I mean, I just feel like I need some kind of guidance, but in this world, it is hard to try to find people that are well-intentioned. And for me, it's to the point where it's like, would I ever even have a chance? Does that even really exist? it appears to for other people, but for me, could that ever exist with my history? Yeah, it's like I said, I've been single for a while, but the past few almost relationships I've had where I kind of almost started to get involved with somebody, they didn't seem very well intentioned. So that's, the main reason why those little situations didn't actually really go anywhere or become much of anything, because I just had that feeling, like the last guy. This was back, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this was like 10 years ago, but it pretty much was, which is crazy to think about. But when I first moved up to where I am now, the apartment that I had before this, it was like a big building with a bunch of people. All of the units had a bunch of people in them, so I had a bunch of roommates. And I met a guy there. We hung out, sort of almost dated for maybe like the first year that I was there. And then he moved out and bought a house. But when he moved out of that apartment and bought a house, the house was pretty far away from the area and from where, the club that I've been working at. And I hate to drive, but he originally wanted me to move in there with him. Or I'm not sure if he like fully like really wanted me to move in. I just remember what he mainly wanted was for me to like help finance him to flip that house. Like he wanted me to put money into it with him so that he could flip it and like make a profit. But his process of trying to flip that house ended up becoming like way longer than he originally said he thought it was going to be, like years and years and years and years. And I mean, we weren't even really like an actual couple at that point, or ever really. So I just didn't trust that I was actually going to see any profit come out of, it was just a weird situation to where I kind of just didn't feel right about it. I don't know. It's hard to trust people, unfortunately. And yeah, I mean, that house and all of that stuff he was trying to do with it, it was just like over an hour's drive from where I still was, in the apartment that I was still in, and the club that I've been working at all this time. So anyways, but yeah, I mean, I guess you could say I'm very non-traditional. I have a lot of trauma in the past, so I feel like at this point I'm the kind of person, like if I was in a relationship, or let's just call it a situationship with somebody, I could pretty much, I think I'd more so want to just like have our own separate rooms in a house. I just want a house, to be honest. Like I don't know how to get one. I do have a savings I could put into it if it was actually going to like definitely be like mine too, like if, you know what I mean, not just like completely in somebody else's name and just like trusting that they're gonna like just let me stay there. I don't know how that would have worked out, but I think I just want like to be in separate rooms and like have a lock on my own door and room, and just like let's never bother each other, non-sexual, if would probably be my preference. Don't want to have anything to do with your in-laws or your family. Like let's just leave each other alone and just split the finances. Now I'm sure that's easier said than done, of course, like most things, and probably hard to find, but there's got to be some people out there that would be okay with that kind of situation. Like, I mean, doesn't anybody just want somebody to split the bills with? Or, like something along those lines, just to like kind of, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's tough to get through life all by yourself. At least I know for me it has been. But yeah, I mean, I'm also, I consider myself to be a pretty open-minded person. I've never had kids, and I think a big part of that is the trauma that I have so much trauma, just built up from years and years and years. So realistically, I don't necessarily know if at this point I would want to have my own kids. I think I am still capable. I mean, I'm getting up there in age. But I did get my period back recently, so I had mentioned before in some of my first few videos that I had been missing, I only missed like one, I think. It was like a month and a half, about approximately, that, um, because yeah, I guess I had taken my summer dieting a little too far, or I think I just been over exercising, honestly. So, and I've heard that with female athletes that can happen. Not that I'm really like an actual athlete, but sometimes maybe like almost like, with going upside down on the pole and doing pole tricks, and also trying to do some jogging or running to the extent that I like to try to do it sometimes. I think I was just overworking myself. But anyways, I have gotten my period back. I think technically I could have kids, like if I think for me, physically, I might still have a few years or whatever left in me for that. It's more so like of a mental and emotional thing that I would probably struggle with the most with that. But then it's like, well, I'm open to the idea of adoption, whether that be like, if somebody else already had kids, or, and like being a stepmom that way, or just like adoption from like somebody just completely like, like a different kind of adoption where it's just, not somebody else's kids, just you're going to like a place to get kids from out of nowhere. Sorry, I don't know how to put that, but like, I don't know, from another country or from just somebody that needs to be adopted, or, but I'm open to a lot of different ideas. I mean, I like both genders. I don't really have a type. It's not, I'm open to different ages and genders. Like, I mean, I'm not the most attractive person, but I'm also, I want to think I'm not like the most unattractive either. So it's almost like the Stepford Wives, where like, what is it? Like, she's like seeing all these females that are actually like robots or like programmed. It's like, I almost feel sometimes like this is just like the reason I'd just be single forever also is just like maybe like everyone around me, it's all just an illusion. Like any guy or any person, like it's just never gonna happen because it's all a simulation and it's all an app programmed against me, so I'll just like never be able to find anyone. This is when my mind gets carried away with like crazy thoughts, obviously, but there's so many movies like The Truman Show I've been thinking a lot about lately. If anyone's ever seen that movie, it's like a combination of like The Truman Show and like The Stepford Wives, where it's like any possible almost relationship that I would like start to maybe get into with somebody, it's like I feel like and that's part of why another reason I started this YouTube channel. I've just always felt like everyone secretly knows about like my past and just all the bad things I've been through, and kind of like was like using that against me almost. So it's like, if I just put it all out there, then at least I don't know. At least I can say I've been brave enough to just be open and honest, and like, whether it hurts me or helps me, I know there's a huge chance of it just making things worse and hurting me, but I'm just so sick of that feeling of like somebody's just come across my notes online about this stuff, where I was trying to write a book about, this kind of stuff, and just rather than just be upfront and talk to me about it, or, they just kind of like use it against me basically with bad intentions. Or that's really how I felt with the last guy that I almost started to sort of almost date. Right from the bat when I met him, I just got this feeling like, yeah, he just kind of like, and even at the strip club that I work at, like at one point they had the different booths for the lap dances that we do were numbered. They weren't always numbered, but like at a certain point they were, every now and then they'll try to like spruce things up, or make altercations, new furniture, you know, do this or that. And at one point they had added numbers to the booths. And the only one that didn't have a number for a while was 17. And that was the age that I was when I did something very stupid with a friend in high school. I don't know if I should really say it right now or not. I've mentioned it in one of my videos before. But yeah, that was the age where a lot of bad things went down for me in particular. So I just thought it was weird that that was the only one that didn't have a number for a while. I don't know. I don't want to make this video too long. I'm already at 20 minutes, over 20 minutes. So, but yeah, just for a while, just gotten this feeling that like, it's just such a crappy feeling to have. Like, do people know this stuff about me, like secretly, and they're just not, you know, I don't know. But yeah, I've been trying to write a book about a lot of it, and I had been sending notes to my email for a while. And I'm pretty sure that account was hacked, and I don't know by who or what, but you know, regardless, that's another thing I was thinking about with my channel too. It's like, I'm not a writer. I mostly enjoy writing poetry, and just like little things like that. I have so many ideas for like screenplays. I have like separate notebooks, like one is for like ideas for screenplays, and like one of them was an idea like kind of like The Sopranos, where they had Tony Soprano in therapy, like talking to his therapist. I was like, what if like there was like a show about a stripper like me that like went through all this crap in their past and never had therapy, and then finally goes to therapy, and it's like just, yeah, kind of like them talking to a therapist, almost in that same kind of style as like Tony Soprano, with like a similar kind of attitude. And like, but I mean, like, there's just like tons of ideas for screenplays. I have a separate notebook with like for comedy, like for stand-up comedy jokes. But like, I'm not sure if I would be able to get up on a stage full of people and like do comedy like that, like stand-up comedy, but maybe I could help write jokes for somebody that did do that kind of thing, you know? Or yeah, I think it would be nice to collaborate with somebody, to just, whether a manager or like a working partner or a life partner or some kind of, you know, just something, I don't know. And for trying to write my book, I've had so many different steps and stages throughout the process. And just this past June, I got to the point where I had like reorganized my notes, all typed out. And now I'm kind of just realizing like, I don't know how to actually put this into a book, you know, like I don't know how to actually write it to where it's telling a story. It's kind of just like a bunch of like chronologically organized notes, like first this bad thing happened, then this next bad thing happened, then this bad thing happened. So it's just like from like, I don't know, like a bunch of different years throughout my life. It's like this year, this year, this year, this year. And then like each folder is just like all this bad crap from this year, all this bad crap from the other year. But, you know, like once you get down to like the more recent years, it's like me trying to actually like do something positive with it. And like, where do I want to go from here? Like in the future, like maybe I can try to use this stuff in a positive way. Like, what do I want my future to maybe look like? I just don't know how to actually write it into a book now and like tell it as a story. But if the amount of notes that I have for it is a lot, I feel like, and then like these days with technology, I've heard like people can just like have stuff like that be a prompt for ChatGPT, but I don't know how to do that. I mean, it's an interesting concept to me, but maybe somebody else out there would know more about how to do that. You know what I mean? Like, and for me, it's like, you know, if somebody out there would ever be able to help me out with that, like, yeah, they could have some of the rights to it. They could have some of the profit if anything positive were ever to be able to happen with it. You know, like get it published someday into an actual book, and who knows? I mean, I think for me at this point, yeah, I mean, obviously I want to have something come of it with like money and profit, but it's just like to tell the story more than anything, really. Like just to finally have it out there, just to finally have it like become something real and like published. And I feel like I have a lot to give. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I have at least some semblance of something to bring to the table, whether it be with my notes, like, you know, like artistically, like with my YouTube channel, with my writing, even, yeah, with actual money. I mean, like with savings, like wanting to like put it into a house or something positive, you know? And like being a stripper, like I wouldn't want somebody like as a manager to like consider themselves like my pimp. Like I hate that word. So like, you know, I really have been using the stripping more so as just a way to try to stay in shape and as a workout. So yeah, I would like to eventually kind of like segue out of the industry preferably, but also just like remain, like maybe open up a pole studio, you know what I mean? Maybe teach pole classes. I'd want to stay doing the dancing to get the workout, but I mean, most of the savings that I have honestly isn't even from stripping because I haven't really been using it as that. Which I guess I don't know if it's I should or I could, but I have mentioned before in some of my other videos, like I really have a hard time trying to deal with most of the guys that come in there in that way, like. And another topic for another video was going to be like nowadays, and for a little while now, we've had like AI DJs for a lot of the day shift and sometimes even part of the night shifts, to where it's like an automated like machine DJ that we don't really have to tip, obviously, because it's a machine. But not that long ago, you know, before we had that technology or before it was implemented, we had some DJs that were they're not there anymore, but there were two guys that worked there that I was, giving a lot of my money to. Like that would definitely have to be another video because that could be a long story, but pretty much most of what I was making. And I know there's a lot of guys out there that will hear that and just be like, yeah, like, woohoo, like, you go, guys. Like, that's just like totally like, yeah, bro. Like, guys love that kind of stuff sometimes when it's like, you know, it was a really weird situation. And like I said, it would have to be a whole other separate video because I can't really actually get into that right now. But I will say this, they were talented. The situation was pretty messed up, and you know, this, ironically, I guess this was back before the economy had really gone to crap. I mean, now it's like, it's so slow anyways, to where I'm barely making an income. And yeah, most of the guys that are in there when I'm working are just not people that I really want to be dealing with most of the time. But back then, when these two DJs were still working there some years ago, it hadn't gotten quite as slow as it is now. But most of what I was making was going to these DJs. And yeah, it was a very strange situation. And I am just basically a dumbass, I guess. But I will say this, they were talented. They're talented DJs. So obviously, like, I feel stupid. I always will for that. And I have regrets about it and how that all went. But they're so talented as DJs. I mean, they had me in like tip-top shape and dance, my performances on stage where I was in my 30s, you know, and I feel like the majority of people, like, they would have a hard time believing it. I can't really describe it. You'd have to actually see it with your own eyes to understand what I mean, basically. Like, I would have never thought that a dancer in their 30s, yet alone someone like me with so much trauma and physical like ailments, like I'm pretty sure I have scoliosis, fibromyalgia, you know, I don't sleep well, I don't have eyebrows or eyelashes or hair in my head, I have, you know, taken dieting way too far in the past, and I've suffered a lot of physical repercussions from that, mental and emotional as well, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of things working against me, but the ability to perform on stage was enhanced and just turned up so many notches when these guys were working that a part of me is actually okay with what I was tipping them because they were so good at what they did with that, you know. And that was actually one of the maybe kind of goals I might have for this channel, is to try to like get them back to the clubs somehow, because with the economy the way that it is these days, and just like there's no way that I would ever be able to afford to tip them what I used to be tipping them back then. Like these days I'm lucky if I can make anything there at all, and pretty much, yeah, whatever I make just goes, to where a lot of times I am dipping into my savings just to kind of, which thank gosh I have, but that's a whole other story for another video too, probably. Like, most of that isn't even from the dancing, really. I mean, I used to work with old rich people, so I'll let you use your imaginations for that for now. But yeah, it's like, I could never afford, it's really hard for that club. It's weird because the staff at that club these days is so great. Like, it's nothing like that now. Like, I've never had anyone with the staff now harass me for tips, or they're all just such great people, it seems like now. But, which is amazing. But there aren't that many of them, if that makes sense. Like, it's very difficult for the club to keep staff because I guess, you know, yeah, the economy, it's just so slow. So the turnover for the staff members that work there, like the regular employees, you know, people just kind of tend to come and go, almost like a revolving door. Most people don't tend to stay there and work there very long. And yeah, we really don't have a DJ during the day anymore, or a lot of times even for night shifts, actually. I think on the weekends, which I don't really work the weekends, like Friday and Saturday nights as much, or ever really anymore. But I think there's a DJ that's still a different one, not one of the guys that I mentioned. They haven't been there for years. But so there's like still a human DJ, I guess you could say, for like Friday and Saturday nights, like the real prime times. But even for a lot of the other night shifts throughout the week, it's usually just like an automated like machine. Like not a jukebox necessarily, but yeah, just like an AI type of like automated type thing. So yeah, the staff, it's hard for that club, it seems, to really keep staff just with the economy and how all of that's been. But luckily the staff they do have seems to be pretty great. But like I said, these days with how things have been going, there's no way that I could ever afford to go back to how I used to be tipping those other DJs years and years ago. But I'll always I'll always miss what they brought to the table, honestly. Like, even though the situation that was going on with that was pretty messed up, and there's parts of it that I definitely don't miss. There's parts of it that I'm very happy to not have to be dealing with anymore. But the actual talent that they brought to the table, and some kind of magic that happened when I was on stage, when they were working, that I miss still a lot of times and always will. And it's like, well, what if somebody else out there could, like, someday maybe sponsor them to come back or pay for them to come back? I know it's like obviously wishful thinking and like, yeah, how would that ever happen? Like, but hey, you never know. Like, I'm sure it's not likely, but I'm the kind of person that just likes to think of possibilities regardless. Like, why not, you know? And when I was trying to think of the name for my channel, I think I chose Stripper for President just because it stood out the most to me when it eventually like popped into my head. I was like, that'll probably, almost like clickbait, I was like, that one will probably get people's attention the most. And I thought that was the one that would stick out in most other people's minds the most, to get them to like pay attention and like remember the name of my channel. But one of the other, before I thought of that one of the other possible names that I was thinking of was Stripper SOS, like Save Our Ship. Because, yeah, a lot of times, like, that club, it'll feel like kind of like the Titanic, or like a ship going down, like just with how the economy is. The club itself, I mean, like I said, the staff is really good now. The dancers are amazing. All the people in there are incredible, and the talent, and just like all the people that work there, the dancers and the employees. But a lot of sometimes the customers are great too, but I'm just so used to working day shift these days. And even like, you know, years ago, just throughout the years, I've done a lot of day shifts, and you know, obviously the customers during day shift aren't always the greatest. Sometimes they can be great too, don't get me wrong, but a lot of times that's obviously not as common to be the case. And yeah, it's like, just with the economy more than anything, it just has been so difficult. Just so slow, and just like a lot of times it's like, just seems like it's getting slower and slower, and it makes you wonder, like, how is this place still staying afloat? And these days they actually really do seem to put a lot of money into the place, and it's like, how are they able to do this? You know, like, I try not to think this way, but sometimes I'm like, is this like one of those things where sometimes people will purposely trash like their boat or their house to get the insurance money back or something? I'm like, is that what they're trying to do? Because like, they put a lot of money into it. They give out credits to the dancers. Like, if we work early day shifts for a certain number of hours, or if we work holidays or certain times when they're slow on dancers, they'll give us credits on our account because we pay to work there. But it's like, it almost seems too good to be true in that regard sometimes, to where it's like, why are they giving out all these credits, and why are they putting all this money into the place when it's so slow? And it's just very difficult to understand. But I'm the kind of person, like, I try not to ask too many questions. You know, like, I try not to overthink it too much. Like, I just have so much else going on in my own personal life to where I don't really have enough brain space or headspace to worry about that anymore than I already do. Like, I don't want to let myself think about it too much, because it just freaks me out too much, basically. But But then, yeah, like with the SOS, it's not like just save my save my ship. SOS stands for save our ship, you know? So it's like, yeah, I want to get those good DJs back sometimes. Like, I want there to be more money to go around for everyone that works there. And me barely making anything anymore, it's like I really can't afford to tip like I would like to and like I used to. I mean, I used to tip more than what I made a lot of times, which is ridiculous, but it was just different back then. And most of that was pre-COVID, you know, so it was just a different mindset. Not all of it was, you know, it continued for a little while after that too. But anyway, also, yeah, sometimes when I'm on stage, the actual stage itself feels like a boat or a ship. And yeah, it's funny because a lot of times the music that's playing during the day will actually be on an iPad, and it will be playlists of music on YouTube playing from the iPad, and you know, in the DJ booth. And every now and then, if it's usually the managers on shift at the time that are like, you know, choosing the playlist and doing all of that. But obviously they have other things to be doing, so they're not always in the booth like that, like a actual DJ would be. They're kind of just like playing DJ a little bit, but also running around doing other stuff too in the meantime, especially on day shift. So sometimes what will happen is the playlist that's playing of the music, when it gets to the end of the playlist every now and then, this doesn't happen very often, but every now and then, it'll be the end of the playlist, and then if the manager's not in the DJ booth at that time, if they're off doing something else, sometimes the music will cut off at the end of the playlist, and it'll kind of like go quiet for a minute until they can rush back in there and restart it or replay another playlist. But every now and then when that's happened, if I'm on stage, which I usually am, it's like I'm just like up there on stage and it goes quiet, and there's like a few people just like kind of floating off, like, you know, in the sidelines in the crowd doing whatever. And it feels like I'm just like on this little boat, like floating in the middle of the ocean by myself, or not completely by myself, but like there's like a person maybe off in the distance over there, like maybe off over there. So I'll just be like, ahoy, you know, because I'm a cheeky ass a lot of times. So, because it's like dead silent all of a sudden. You know, it's like it goes from like really, really loud music to just like quiet. And I'm just like on stage, just like holding onto this pole, like looking around. And then there's like maybe a person over there, maybe a person over there. Can I see them? Maybe a little bit. Ahoy! Oh. Sorry guys, I'm really weird. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I honestly just want something positive to come about from this channel, like regardless. Like, maybe I'll catch myself a boyfriend, maybe catch myself a husband. There's so many ways that could go. Maybe, yeah, like somebody could sponsor to get those DJs back to the club, you know, for some of the other shifts where it's just this weird like AI bot doing it now, which I don't always mind, but the voice that does it is one of the most obnoxious voices I've ever heard. Like, I don't know where they got it or came up with it. But then one of the DJs that I'm talking about, though, his voice was very annoying too. And sometimes in my head, I'm like, which voice is more annoying? Like, they're both just like, ugh. But anyways, the like automated voice that does it now, a lot of the times, sometimes I thought like, what if they could switch that voice with like technology, like with AI, they could make it like, you know, Samuel L. Jackson's voice instead. Or another one that I've thought of is Mrs. Potts from the Beauty and the Beast movie. I think the actress that played her voice, or that did her voice, I think her name was Angela Lansbury. Like the very first, I think it was the first, Like original Beauty and the Beast animated movie, Mrs. Potts. That would be a funny one to have on there. But I don't know if as many people would be familiar with that one. Sorry, there's like a bee on the outside of the car, thank gosh. Oh my goodness. And it's funny because I think I've seen somewhere recently on an ad on YouTube. It was very quick, but I could have sworn I saw an ad where they actually had that now, where it was like some kind of like Siri type thing or some kind of like AI thing on their phone, and they had it like be like a voice, like I think it was Samuel L. Jackson's voice. And I was like, yep, there's another one of my ideas that was stolen. But I mean, that's kind of my point though too. Like I have like so many ideas like that where like in theory, like some of these ideas could be like $1 million ideas, right? Like possibly, who knows? But usually what will happen is I don't know what to do with them or like where to take them or like I don't know where to go with them, you know what I mean? Like they'll just like rot in my head until maybe like years later, however much longer later, I'll maybe someday see them, like, you know, somebody else eventually comes, like, you know, oh, there, that was, I had that idea at one point way back in the day, and there it is, maybe. But I don't know if I'm just like hallucinating all this. I don't know. I feel like I should have looked it up before I did this, but that does happen. Like, when did memes really become a thing, by the way? I forgot to Google this earlier. I wanted to Google this before I started this video. But like the memes I have like on the internet, I'm pretty sure like I created memes. Like I started that shit. I swear to God. I know people are gonna be rolling their eyes right now, and I'm probably wrong. But so I'm gonna Google this later. I'm sure like they were technically around like before I started doing it. I started making memes. Well, I first joined Facebook back in like 2013. And I'm pretty sure that's like one of the first memes I made was with Jack Black from the movie Orange County. And it was the scene where he was like in the car, like talking about all his crazy ideas. And he was like all hopped up on something, but they were driving somewhere to like, you know, for whatever reason, him and his brother, and they were driving to like some college professor's like campus to go try to like convince him to like let one of the guys into like his college or something. And he was like talking about all his crazy ideas, and there was a screenshot of him when he was talking about it, like with his like eyes all wild, like making a crazy facial expression. And I took that picture and I wrote a caption like about like them ideas be like burning through my skull or something. I think it was like a quote that he had said in the movie at that time. But yeah, I don't know. All I know is 2013, that's when I started making like little memes like that on my Facebook. But I'm sure memes were probably a thing before then. They had to have been. But my point is, like, I just have a lot of ideas. Like, if I only knew where to take them or what to do with them, like, maybe, like, at least one of them could actually, like, get me somewhere, or, like, something positive could come from it, rather than just, like, nothing ever happening because I don't know what to do with them. But if I knew the right person, like they say, it's not what you know or, like, what you do, it's, like, it's who you know a lot of times. And I don't know anybody. But maybe with this channel, I could get myself to actually like have connections, or even a connection ever, anywhere, like in some way, shape, or form, like anything. like anything at all, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a very ambitious person. Like I like to think that I'm a very like open-minded, ambitious person with like a lot to offer. But I just, yeah, I don't know what to do with any of it. I'm just like stuck in this little like bubble of nothingness, or just like suffering, basically. Just, I mean, I don't want to say complete suffering, because like technically I've had a roof over my head, and like I have a car, I have a little bit of savings set aside for now. But yeah, I mean, it's like these days things just get weirder and weirder. Prices just keep going up. I don't know what the F I'm doing or what the F, like where to go from here, basically. Like, I just want to get like a nice little like house at least, or like a life partner or somebody that like knows what they're doing in life, like unlike me where I just have no idea ever. Like somebody that actually knows things and like could help guide me or like help me in some way, shape, or form without having completely terrible, evil intentions to just completely take advantage of me and screw me over. Like I feel like it's happened a lot of times. You know, like, is there anybody out there in the world at all whatsoever that's actually a decent person that like would want some of these things too? I don't know. And like for a house, like it literally would like I don't need like a mansion. I don't need anything like crazy or extravagant. Just like the most simple little freaking house. Like nothing like crazy, nothing like just like a simple little like dwelling, like place to exist where I wouldn't have to worry about like what if my 90-year-old landlord like kicks the bucket, like you know what I mean, like what's gonna happen. like I said, I try not to think about it too much because it freaks me out, but it's like you kind of have to think about this stuff. Like it's hard not to worry about the future when you're in the kind of position that I'm in. Or yeah, just in general, I'm sure for a lot of people it's like things can go south so quickly, so easily, and just you never know like what's gonna happen, what's around the corner. At least I know I sure don't. But yeah, I mean, just even if it's just like me eventually getting like a certain amount of subscribers and putting ads on my channel just to get some kind of like revenue from it. But I mean, I want to think bigger than that too. You know what I mean? Like I want to like really just anything, if anything at all positive could come from this rather than just me like airing out my dirty laundry like on the internet for like anybody to come across and like make fun of me for, or, like use to their advantage. Or I really worry about people that I work with coming across this stuff, obviously. Like anybody that works at the club that I work at. Be like, oh, she's bald. Like I kind of wondered maybe with her wigs and stuff, but now I actually know for sure. Or like it was actually kind of funny because a couple weeks ago when I was first like really getting into uploading videos onto my channel here, and they were like, you know, videos about a lot of like deep, dark personal stuff, which I'm sure I probably will regret. I already do a little bit, but it's like I was in the kitchen at the strip club that I work at, right? Like with my phone on a charger where we had an outlet there by the coffee machine, uploading my videos. And then I had the door propped open to like where I could hear out to the main part of the rest of the club. So I could hear when I was going to be called on stage again soon. And a lot of this was for like a night shift, like a Sunday, like, you know, like one of the weeknights. Like not like a Friday or Saturday night, thank gosh, but like still a night shift. So, you know, like there were actually people like around the stage and like people in the club and stuff. And then in the middle of like trying to upload my videos on here, like very like, you know, risky, deep, dark personal videos, I would be eventually called to stage and have to like, you know, unplug my phone and like put it all back in my bag, run out to the stage, go run up on stage and, you know, climb up this 15-foot pole, go upside down, like do all this crazy stuff, like thinking to myself, like, has anybody in this crowd seen any of my videos? Like, are they just waiting for my wig to fall off while I'm upside down the pole again? Because that has happened before. I've mentioned before in one of my videos. So it's like I get to the top of the pole and I'm just like trying to like do this when I think that people aren't going to notice as much, like maybe if they're like when they're not directly looking up at me, which a lot of times they are, and I'll be like trying to like just adjust my wig as best I can to where hopefully it's not going to fall off when I go upside down. And so I go upside down, do all your little pole tricks, you know, just like this crazy rush of like chaos and like loud music and lights. then eventually get back down off the stage, go run right back to the kitchen and resume trying to upload these videos. Like, it's just a really weird thing. And yeah, sometimes it does feel like out of a movie. Or it could be a movie. It could be a screenplay for a movie. That's another idea that, you know what I mean? It's like, I have all these things that I want to do, like with my stuff, like screenplays, stand-up comedy, my book that I'm trying to write. It's like, you know, I have stuff to bring to the table. It's just, I don't know, I feel like I am the table maybe, or like there's nobody else there. It's like just me. It's been just me as like the table. Like I'm just like this inanimate object like of table by myself or something. Oh, I read this comment on YouTube just last night, I think it was, or yesterday. And somebody said, it was like this weird quote where like you're either at the table or you're on it, but how to be neither. And I just thought that was like a really interesting thing that they said. Really interesting comment. It was for a video about gang stalking. I was like, yeah. And one of the other comments was like, imagine the log jam of like helicopters and like people in dark clothing just like outside the gang stalking support group or something. Like, I thought it was funny. You have to have a sense of humor. Okay, so what else do I have written down here? Oh my god. A videographer would be cool, I guess, maybe. There's so much stuff that I've done on stage where it's like, how did that just disappear into thin air? Like, how is that not ever gonna be captured somewhere on film, photo, video, anything? Then when I go to try to do the webcamming at some points, other times, from my rinky-dink little shithole apartment, it's like I'm just sitting there on my bed, just like the seconds of my life ticking away, being wasted. Just like, what do I do on this stupid website? Feeling so awful and awkward and uncomfortable, and just thinking to myself, if only anybody could see me on stage, like on camera, or like, you know, to where it would actually be preserved. Like the stuff that's happened up there that I can do up there sometimes, especially when those DJs used to be there. Oh my gosh, like that just took it to like levels where it was like, how is this happening? And it's like, yeah, if anyone would ever be able to sponsor those DJs to get them back, just so we could try to prove it and see if it would still happen, because that was years ago. I was still in my 30s then, but I'm even later into my 30s now. So like, would it still be possible now? Are they really that good as I think they are? To where if they came back now or in the future, would that still be able to happen? That would be an interesting thing to try out, maybe. And then it's like, a lot of times I feel like the guys that go in there, they're just like having bets between themselves of when I'm going to fall off the pole and break my neck eventually. So, I mean, hey, if anything, if people wanted to sponsor those DJs just for that, let's watch her try it. You know, that now that she's almost 40, let's watch her try, and we can all place bets. You know, rich people that really got money, and place bets and see when I'm eventually going to fall off and break my neck trying to do that shit. Whatever, if that's what does it, you know what I mean? But another idea that I had was, if I ever did try to date again, like I wouldn't trust anyone to like not mess with me, especially after posting these, like having videos like this on this kind of channel. So there could be like a thing like date a stripper, where what if like I went on dates with people, but rather than show their face, the only thing that people could see in the video was just like me, and they could hear the guy that I'm on a date with in the background, or like they could hear the guy but they couldn't see him. So they could hear what they're saying but they couldn't see what they look like. And they just like see me like on this date and like hear what the guy's saying. Like date a stripper. That could be interesting. What else? I mean, I mentioned wanting to turn one of the parking lots of the club into a tree house. So there's that. So one of the back parking lots, there's like all these trees, and yeah, sometimes I'm just like thinking to myself, like, what if we could just build a big old tree house back there, so that my dancer name is Tinka at the club, so it's like it'd be like Tinka's tree house, and then I could just live in there, and that could be my house. that could be my home. So yep, I should probably wrap this up. I'm at an hour. I don't know if I'd ever be able to post this. Oh my gosh. Or like watch this back. But it's like really chilly in here, and my car's not on, so yeah, I should probably start my car and get my phone charging and get some heat in here. I know this is all very ridiculous, and I know I'm not gonna want to refilm this, so I'll probably just maybe post it. I don't know. So I have so many more ridiculous ideas to like maybe get into at some other time, share with you guys. But like, don't you just love the way my brain works? Like, if only, I don't know, you guys. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty terrifying to think of what I've posted on here so far. It's just so like embarrassing and shameful and risky and damning, and I just can't believe this is who and how I am, and just like what kind of hope do I have? I guess obviously some, or like why would I bother? Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, all right, I have to start my car. It's so cold in here. Holy crap. I don't know. Like I said, I really ought to wrap this up. I never know how to like end my videos or like on a decent note. Hopefully I'm not coming across as too ridiculous, but please don't make fun of me too bad. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, you totally can. Yeah, I guess that's all for now, folks. I don't even know what else I can say after all that. I do have more written down in my handy dandy notebooks, of course. But hopefully I'll be able to work up the guts to actually post this, because like I said, I really don't want to have to try and refilm this. Like, it's not like a retake or a retry is going to go any better than this did. Like, it's all going to be ridiculous, obviously. So, hey. But if anyone ever gets to watch this, let me know what you think. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's only been like a couple weeks since I've started uploading videos onto this channel, so you know, technically I'm still just getting started, so who knows, maybe something good could eventually come out of this someday. Maybe, like, you'd want to think there'd at least be a chance, right? Like, try to be positive, try to be hopeful. What else can you do sometimes? So I mean, at the end of the day, obviously I know this is ridiculous, but again, at least I'm trying. Like, I really don't know how else to try sometimes, like, you know, just with where I'm at and the way that I am. Unfortunately, I don't really know. This is just where I'm at, I guess. But but I mean, yeah, like I want to think I have at least some stuff to bring to the table. But would there ever be anyone at the table? Or maybe like I said, maybe I am the table, or maybe I'm just really just an idiot and that's it. I don't know, just a freaking loser. But I'm gonna wrap this up and get going to the gym. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna be meeting up with my little bro and his new girlfriend later today, so hopefully that goes okay. If he's okay with it, I might try to bring out the family photo album that I have in the back of my car and yeah, show his new girlfriend some of the pictures from when we were growing up. I was thinking, you know, I worry about that photo album a lot too, like what's going to become of those pictures, you know, like, so maybe I could try to film some of those and show some of those on my channel sometime. Obviously not like the real personal ones of like other family members, but like mainly just the ones of me probably, and like the pets maybe. But anyway, I guess that's all for now, and I don't know what else to say. So peace out for now, guys.